Welcome to the Virtual Office Hours, How to Be a Public Scholar series. I'm John Fia. I teach American history and chair the history department here at Messiah. Megan Piet is behind the camera. We're going to interview Megan one of these days and ask her about all she does to prepare the office hours. So, today we want to talk about radio. I've done a little bit of radio over the years, both on Christian and secular stations. Christian stations because a lot of my stuff, I'm pitching it to church audiences and so forth in religious history. But how do you get on the radio? What do you do when you get on the radio? How do you use this media, this form of media, to promote your stuff? I find, one of the ways you can start is simply just asking. If you have a book that's going to appeal to the general public. Most radio talk show hosts who do talk shows and interview shows, they don't want to talk to somebody who's writing this really obscure monograph. So what you want to do is if you have a book that you think will appeal to a public audience, and again I've said this for all kinds of all of the videos in this series, you have to have, in order to engage the public, you have to have something the public wants to look at. But it doesn't hurt to just email. Find shows that that deal with history-related topics or have sort of intellectuals or scholars on, and email the producer and say, "Look, I have this book out. I think it's relevant." You always come with a hook. This is going to deal with this important question about whether or not we're a Christian nation, in my case, right, or the culture wars or so forth. Use a nice hook, and these shows are always looking for content, and you're going to get rejected a lot of times, but I've had some good luck with just unsolicited emails saying, here's a new book I have, I'd like to interview on it. Another way, probably more effective way of getting a lot of radio interviews, is to hire a publicist, or maybe negotiate a book deal of some type in which you negotiate with the publisher and they hire a publicist for you. A publicist is going to do sort of beat the bushes, get on the phone, email people. They're going to work hard on your behalf. I've had success with two publicists that were very, very different. The first publicist I paid by interview. So I could purchase as many interviews as they want, and they guaranteed a certain number, however many you kind of ordered. They had a minimum, I think, of 15 or 20 interviews, but you paid by the interview. I've also had a publicist who, just sort of a lump fee you pay, and then they go out and find you interviews, and that was very successful as well. What about when you get on the radio? Anything can happen when you're on the radio, especially if there's call-in. People are calling in. The interviewer could take it any way he or she wants to take it. Just be prepared. Be ready to think on your feet. It's often helpful, and I know a lot of radio hosts like this, and either your publicist or you can send a list of questions that you'd like them to ask you. And that sort of, again, makes the host, they don't have to do as much work, and they can still sort of trigger a conversation with you based on these questions. One big thing: don't expect the host to have read your book if you're on there promoting a book. The best hosts, even the best hosts, aren't going to read the book, but the best hosts will have some knowledge of the subject and be able to talk in an articulate way with you about the subject. So I think those are just some tips about doing radio. It's a great venue. It's a great way to promote your book or your ideas. Sometimes I even get, after I've gone on and talked about my book, I'll get a call back to come on and not talk about my book, but just give some historical insight to things that are going on in the news and so forth. And you develop a relationship with these hosts, and you can sometimes become a regular on some of these programs. So I would encourage you to pursue that, and I guess that's all for the office hours today. See you next time.